You know what they're saying, ma'am, that, you know, you railed against stimulus spending and dough, and you wanted a chunk of it at the time. What do you say?
Well, first off, I think they're being a little hypocritical because I'm going to continue to rail against the ridiculous spending in Washington. And what was before me was a request by a group from my district, and I do represent the 2nd Congressional District of Ohio, asking me to write a letter asking the Department of Labor to give them fair consideration on a project that they wanted in the stimulus, a job training program project in the stimulus.
And this is what you had requested the roughly $4 million for, and out of stimulus. Ultimately, that was rejected. But you still had sought it.
Yes, it was rejected. And you know, Neil, let me add that when they made that request, I informed them that as a large critic of the stimulus, that my letter might do them more harm than good because I'm going to continue to stand up for America and say no to this ridiculous spending. But they still asked me to write the letter so that they could get fair consideration from the department. And I hope that they did get fair consideration, and it wasn't my letter that caused them to have a rejection.
Nevertheless, can you understand, Congresswoman, how this raises some hackles, because you had railed against this sort of thing? You know, obviously you were trying to speak on behalf of an important constituent, but when you were addressing Tea Parties on this, it looked like you wouldn't even consider this. This was not too long ago.
You know,
I just want you to see this.
If I could return that money to the Treasury, I would.
Yeah.
The genie is out of the bottle. I think that any unused money should go back to the Treasury and go back to the Treasury immediately. But having said that, it was a group of folks that were making this request. They asked for my support so that they could get fair consideration from the department.
No, Congressman, I understand that, but a lot, but see, Democrats will argue, well, we're not even going to run the bike, guys. It's pointless. But my point is that a lot of folks, Democrats, argue the same thing on behalf of their constituents, on behalf of those that implore them to get federal money their way. How are their spending habits any different from yours?
Well, I'll tell you, the one reason is that they voted for the stimulus, which caused the money to be put on the table to cause the genie to be out of the bottle. But would you have voted for the stimulus, Congresswoman, if this $4 million was guaranteed for your folks? No, I would not be voting for it. I would still say no, because this was the wrong way to go for our country. We need to get on track to promote jobs in our country.
See, no offense, man, but that's what's so offensive to folks. You're arguing on behalf of a constituent for $4 million in funding for an initiative, in this case, a Pathways to Employment project, but you would vote against aggregate spending in a stimulus bill that you found offensive. It's a mixed message, don't you think?
No, Neil, it's not. We should not have voted on that bill to begin with. That doesn't say that there shouldn't be opportunities for job training in this country, but we could have put that project in a different capacity instead of in an $800 billion boondoggle called a stimulus. The bill itself overspent the public's money and overspent the public's trust, and I'm going to continue to say no to that kind of unbridled spending.
On this issue, do you think it's sending a mixed message to say, I'm against stimulus, but if I can get something for my folks back home, I'm all for it?
Well, the problem is the people of Utah and the people of her district, they're going to have to pay for it. And I wish I could exempt the people of Utah out from, hey, I wouldn't spend the money, and consequently I wouldn't make them pay for it. But since we're all going to be on the hook for paying for it, yeah, we should go get every dollar we could.
All right, but Congressman, it sounds like you're being very reluctant to criticize a party colleague who did the very thing that you find so offensive.
But yes, she's being very genuine in saying, look, I wouldn't have voted for the stimulus. I didn't vote for the stimulus. But if she's going to be held accountable and the people of her district and the people of the entire country are going to have to pay for it, well then, yes, certainly the Democrats aren't suggesting that the stimulus dollars go to just the Democratic counties or the Democratic
you just confirmed my point. There are a lot of those very Democratic congressmen and women who come on this show and justify it the same way the good congresswoman just did, who is a Republican. It seems to me, no offense, love you dearly, that you're being very selective in your rage here. But real quickly, did constituents seek you out and say, could you get funding for me for this, and did you turn them down? Yes or no?
Well, in general, yes, I did turn them down.
Okay, so you did that. You did that. Others
Yeah.
in your party did not do that.